Good evening. Tonight, Kolkata and India grieve the senseless death of a young man, Sudipto Gupta, just 22 years old, member of the State Committee of the Left Student Federation in Kolkata, who last evening at 6 o'clock died. He was protesting earlier against the delay in student elections in the state. An accident, a tragedy, said the Chief Minister. No innocent person should die. He was beaten to death, says Sudipto's family. His young sister says she wants a CBI probe into Sudipto's death, the left a judicial probe. They say there's total anarchy in the state. Why was the Chief Minister at the IPL when this was happening? But tonight, it's not the political claims that are important. It's finding the truth of what happened to Sudipto. His family is owed at least that much. A tragedy there in Kolkata. But let's go across first to Sitaram Yechury, whom I spoke to earlier this evening. Mr. Yechury, a time of grief, a grief which really goes beyond political divisions. We've seen the crowds out on the streets in Kolkata this evening for young Sudipto's funeral. Yet, we've seen the political back and forth as well. We've seen left leader Biman Bose say, why was the Chief Minister at the IPL opening ceremony yesterday? Should this be an occasion to make political capital for the left or for any political party?
Well, you see, the point is, first of all, what should be understood is that there is an outpouring of grief. This is a tragedy of an unparalleled proportion that Kolkata has not seen in recent years. Brings back memories of the 60s and 70s, which many of that generation are still alive. They don't want their children to go through. And this is something that is completely unacceptable and in human terms. So I think the outpouring is an expression of that. Secondly, the political capital being made out of this is most unfortunate comments that are coming through. Because, you see, one is the tragedy. I mean, it's a bright young spark. I mean, we know this boy. I mean, he's had a very bright future, not only for himself, but to contribute to the country. And if these are the sort of people who are losing their lives in this sort of a manner, this is something that is just not simply acceptable. So I think the moral of the story is Kolkata has risen in the true reflection of its humanism. And it is a city which has a very high level of humanitarian considerations, and I think it is reacted in that way.
But Mr. Yechury, when the left has been alleging that this young boy was murdered by the police, do you have proof behind those claims? Or is it just adding really to the tension and to the grief of a family at this point? Do you actually have proof of police brutality? The post-mortem report is out, which we have a copy of, which we have details of, which says that there were severe injuries before his death.
You see, the point is not the proof of who saw what or what is the footage, etc. Here has been a tragic killing, I would say. Now, the police has a version which I find very incredulous. I mean, it is something that is, as far as I am concerned, is completely unsustainable. Now, the point is, the police says that if they are right, if the state government says they are right, and if people don't believe it, the answer is only one way. That answer is, let there be a judicial inquiry. If what the police is saying is true, then the inquiry will show it. Then why are they shying away from a judicial inquiry?
Mr. Yechury, why aren't you happy with a state probe? In fact, when I talk about politics, isn't that part of it? The fact is that there have been many tragic incidents under the left government. There have been deaths, similar deaths in different circumstances. Would the left have ordered a judicial probe? That means that you don't trust the state.
Not every death, and most of the things that they went up to, it was the CBI that was inquiring. On all the major occasions when the left government was there. And nobody else knows that better than the TMC. The point at issue is, here you have a police acting as a political arm of a government in the state. Now, that is something that does not augur well for democracy at large. Forget which is the ruling party, which is the opposition party. Now, for the sake of Indian democracy and for the sake of Indian public institutions, this matter cannot be allowed to be hushed up or pushed under the carpet. Let there be a proper judicial inquiry. What is the problem? If what the government is saying is true, then let that come out in that inquiry.
Right.
Why are you shying away from it, unless there's something you want to conceal?